reviewing and reminding us of the great mercies of God in Jesus Christ. Over and over. God has given us Jesus Christ to redeem us. God has given us Jesus Christ to give us new life. God gives us life every day. And His blessings come in a steady pouring of all kinds of blessing throughout each day. Our response of thankfulness is what He's asking for. And so it seems that if we are to love one another, the how question is answered by thankfulness. The more thankful we are, the easier it is to love. The more we review God's great mercies to us on a daily basis, the greater our capacity to love, because it opens us away from ourselves out towards others, to love out of a sense of thankfulness. Or maybe put it this way. I had a good friend in high school that we really enjoyed each other's company, and I hadn't heard from her for 30 years. The only contact we had was through Christmas letters, you know, the informational kind. And recently, she actually, for the first time in over 30 years, she called me, left a message saying that her daughter was going to be going to seminary in Philadelphia. What a wonderful, surprising phone call to get from her. So I began emailing her daughter, who's now arrived in Philadelphia, and finally, for the first time last week, we talked by phone. If I had not known who this person was, I would have sworn it was her mother. The way she talked sounded like her mother in the tone of her voice. The phrasing was her mother's. The way she laughed was just like her mother. And where she laughed in the sentences was just like her mother. And the ideas, I could begin to see how she thought it was just like her mother. I was seeing her mother, listening to her mother 30 years later on the phone. But it was her daughter. Paul says that we are to imitate Christ and God as sons and daughters. That naturally, as we get to know, spend time with, hang around God, we will naturally develop the characteristics of God, which include love. It's really amazing how that happens. By osmosis, not just by intentionality. It just happens as we spend time. So if we're to ask the question, how do we love? The answer comes in at least two forms: by cultivating a sense of thankfulness, by reviewing daily God's mercies. What would happen if you wrote down and kept a little journal 5 things that you were thankful for each day of what God had done for you? Imagine how that would expand your heart to love. And imagine what would happen if you increased your face time with God. If you grew your relationship with God, spent more time with God, just talking to Him throughout the day, including Him in what you did. If you read the Scriptures more in a reflective way, perhaps asking those 5 questions. If you developed a relationship with Jesus Christ to a greater extent than what you're doing now, how your love would grow. Because like father, like son, like father, like daughter. Who are we to love? Certainly all people, but above all those around us. What are we to do? We are to love sincerely. We are to hate what is evil and cling to what is good. We are to think the best of one another and ignore what is not good. As the Apostle Paul puts it in 1 Corinthians 13, love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. About the other, love does not rejoice at the wrong that another does or happens to another, but rejoices in the right. It is not envious or jealous of another person's success, but rejoices with the person in what occurs to them or what they accomplish. Letting go of what is bad, hating the evil, clinging to what is good of those around us. A man went to a wise American Indian elder, and after studying the culture, asked the Indian wise man, "Why is it that so many songs in your culture have to do with rain?" The wise man said, "Well, since we're in the southwest of America, rain is scarce. That's why so many of our songs deal with rain." And then the wise Native American Indian said to the other man, "Do you think that's why so many songs in America have to do with love?" Brothers and sisters, our vision statement says together we are becoming the family of God. We become the family of God by our love for each other. I'd like you to respond to this word of love, not by singing, but by standing and reading with me another portion of the Scriptures, 1 Corinthians 13, beginning with the first verse. You'll find it on page 1157. It's 1 Corinthians 13, what we call the love chapter. But it is designed, first, not for weddings. It's designed to be read among Christians, one to another. 1 Corinthians 13, verses 1 through 7, page 1171. The first two paragraphs. I'd like you to stand, please. Shall we say this together? If I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and surrender my body to the flames, but have not love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. Amen. May this then be our benediction this morning. May the God of love fill you with the presence of Jesus Christ and with his love, so that as his sons and daughters, with thankfulness, we not only receive his love, but spread it to those around us, that this congregation might be marked by love. Amen.